177 students in math, which is about 34% and 25.5%. Now, here's what the growth does tell us, and this is one thing about the math test that is unique. From the fall test to the winter test, students should increase by 3.2 questions or score or points. That doesn't mean that they didn't increase or grow. It just means they didn't grow with the 3 points that they said. So when we talk about how many grew, 101 of them did move that way, but they might not have moved up either a whole grade level or got that maximum measurable point of 3 or 4 points or whatever else it might be. So this is the growth summary here for high school math. It follows the same format. And like we said, you do see it shift in a way we don't want it to shift. And then the slides that you have, the handouts you have, shows this right here as far as freshman winter math scores. That's that first one that Mr. Evans gave out. It says 9th grade at the top.
I think reading's on the front.
Yeah, reading's on the front, and then it goes to math. Now, one thing that the map did do also, we have 4 tests that we're given for our benchmarks, where usually it was 3. So they only gave us 3 points to where they tell us what our score should be. So the winter test and the early spring test, the points are going to be exactly the same for both sites. The grade level of what they need to accomplish to be able to see movement. What we didn't have, which we literally, I thank Coach Henderson for this and Ms. J, after that fall test, we didn't have the ability to implement it in the study item and do our remediation. And what that is that gives each student their own individual learning plan so that they can go in and work on the deficiencies or the remediation that they each need to do just themselves. Well, at 1:30 on Saturday, 1:30 a.m. on Saturday, we finally figured out what the problem was uploading that data. So now every student in the high school and every student in the middle school has their own individual learning plan so that they can get better at the deficiencies that they have. Now, I've spoken to Mr. Evans as well as Mr. Pete. We are implementing a couple of these remediations after school tutoring daily so that they can go in and work on those basic things that they may be struggling with. 30-minute reading time before school. Also, teachers have already been encouraged that it is a expected thing for them to do every week to do remediation with their students. And when we say remediation, some students end up on, in some topics, 2nd grade level, and they might have been in the high school. So there are things for them to be doing at home. They have access to it at home. Every student has it. If they finish that math testing, I know there's a couple of students that need to finish in middle school, but they have a pathway prescription for every single student for them to work on remediation. We're going to intensely focus on math and reading, which is exactly what these 2 exams show us. Small group instruction weekly, the attendance, always checking and making sure that the students are getting involved in that. And then I thought about it walking up, Mr. Evans, if we can get a call out also to parents to where we can have a video on our website so parents can go and see how to look at their students' data. Each student is presented with it. Every teacher in the English and math department in high school and middle school was presented a poster that shows their students and where they're moving in regards to this. And then those students that did go above college and career ready, we already have those posters presented up there so that students can see that, which they've been going by trying to see where they are and all that. So with those things in place, we know we didn't, it was really a merging of data that nobody knew we had to do in order to upload it to study item. But with those things in place, we're pretty comfortable that we don't see that shift that we want to see. Questions do you have?
In regards to the study item, are teachers working with students, like how do they know how to get on it? How are we introducing that to kids?
So we have done professional developments early when we first got it to make sure every student could log in, or every teacher could log in. The teachers know, and And I've done videos as far as how they can find passwords for the students. The students should have their logins and everything ready through Clever. So we did find out that the Clever integration, because we didn't merge the student state ID and the student ID, Study Island called it one thing, but it's actually not for us, so we had to merge the two together to get it to work. So now they all have one of those. Students can simply go into Clever, click Study Island, and that's the first option on there is the student individual learning pathway.
Better question. How do the students know to go do it? Like, who's assigning it?
The teachers.
Okay.
Teachers are assigned. The teachers in their class, for instance, if nobody has downtime, so if they're saying that, hey, I just finished this assignment, they should be going into Study Island and working on remediation for their English or reading and or math.
Middle school, they already logged into Study Island, so they do it on a regular basis. Now, there's another component on there with their prescription, app-based prescription assessment. They just have to look at the other side. It's been added to it now. So that look in there, and once they get in it, it's self-explanatory. It takes them through all the lessons.
Can you give me a weekly usage on the middle high school?
Yes.
On the pathway?
Yes.
On the prescription part?
Yep.
Because it's one thing to have it, it's a whole other thing to know who's using it.
Right.
So,
That was my question. How do we?
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say I have one question, but how long have you been in Study Island?
We came back. We just came back to high school. High school didn't have it.
We had.
Yeah.
It's different because it's linked to exactly what they need. Study Island does a couple of things. It can be an extension of an assignment or homework, which would be grade level, or it can go back and it can fill in all your gaps. We're using it to fill in gaps.
Right.
So it's different. I know it sounds weird. I mean, it sounds like, oh, we use Study Island. It's a different way that we're using it now. That we didn't have the capacity to use it that way.
What we had last time was that.
Yeah, the last 3 years we've had it.
Right.
So now to kind of put these back on as a teacher to make sure that these students go back and log into this.
Go into individual remediation.
So what do you think outside of school?
Yes, they have access to it the whole time.
Okay.
So not only can teachers use it for remediation in class, they can use it for assignments outside of class. That hey, when you come in this weekend, it's great for Fridays. When you have, in addition to the assignment that you have, you should be also doing your remediation, which is also why, as I said, there's a way for us to be able to get in touch with parents so that they know that, hey, your student should be getting in. Because there's gaps. Every student, while you may be college and career ready in one topic, there may be something where you're struggling with basic number operations, which is a second, third, fourth grade level. And if they can get better at that, that can assist with them helping other things as they proceed through math specifically, because I know I know that part.
And that's also something that we try to do the district versus for faculty rooms, which is a level of communication between parents and teachers for the first time that can be monitored by the administration. And so that's something that is also trying to do with the classroom with the science that are happening. And so the parents now are able to have that in their hands to see exactly where their students are and how they're doing. And so that's really integrated into our school act.
So what would that be for the parents too?
So I have 2 trainings set up here in high school over the next 2 weeks.
And we have 9 trainings available for Study Island. They come out, we're working to see which day will be available for high school and middle school. That'll take 3 days. If they come on site, it removes 3 days. So of 3 of the 9 that's already paid for. So we're going to do that so the teachers can dive into it more, use more specific oriented assignments for them to use for that remediation. And we'll do that over the course of the placement.
My question is going along the lines is how are our teachers using it? Do we know the teachers are using it?
So that's
same?
That was my question with usage, that's why I asked you to
So-
be with the usage.
So, and the problem is, when we uploaded, you go in the system and see that it was up, the data was uploaded in October for them to be able to do it. But teachers kept saying, hey, we can't, they were trying to get into it, we can't figure out why our students don't have an individual pathway. We got on with NWEA, they said it was study item said it was NWEA, and they came back and said it's infinite campus. So we sat down and went line by line through everything, and come to find out that we've always downloaded the data. We had it and we did show that it was uploaded, but because study item needs for it to be their state ID number, and NWEA presents the student ID number, the study item calls that state ID number the student ID. And when they said upload with the student ID, that's what I uploaded with, which it wasn't the same thing. So when they went through and saw, oh no, you can't do that, it has to be, a heading has to be state ID, but the numbers underneath it has to be, or student ID, but the numbers underneath it needs to be their state ID numbers. Once we did that at 1:30, 1:45 in the morning, it uploaded all 500 and something of them, and she didn't even know the study item that was going on.
Here's my example of usage report.
Good. And this is just going to show, this shows today, this is in Clever, this is what Clever provides. So it'll break it down to how many students used it at what time, what day, what was the max usage, that you can see where our students come.
Nothing over it.
No, right. And you see as it came fast, we started getting into 91 students. And it can go up, I mean, I can get you more detailed report next month, but this is just like,
So it looks like right now, middle school has this usage?
Yes.
So middle school has the most usage.
So that'll start to change.
Right.
He literally just solved this week.
Right.
So it'll start to change once we get everybody past it. But a bright spot, I will point out, even though there are definitely a lot of things we have to work on, is the 11th grade scores.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a really bright spot because that is the state report card will be judged on that 11th grade score for SAT. And so, good job. It better be you. This room better be on. Yeah, it was these ladies right here, pulling down for everybody. But that is a bright spot because that's a lot of growth for that 11th grade, that many kids at grade level.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's not a lot, it is a lot better than last year. Yeah, so. Other questions? Working through it, we're working through it. But the biggest part is, and it's a lot, because the state is asking us a lot from us in regards to alignment, in regards to curriculum plans and mapping. So teachers are having to work hard to do that, and that's a very new requirement. That's something that House Bill 1775 brought on. So in addition to that, we are bringing in new resources for kids. So it's a lot. That's all I can say, it's a lot. I think every grade level, every principal I've heard them, say to me, the teachers are just like, it's one more thing, it's one more thing. And it is one more thing. And just because the state asked us to do something, doesn't mean that we need to stop teaching the way. So, it's a lot. And we are working through it. So, I will start with weekly usage reports next week for study hour. So that we can just see how it goes. And that gives the principals a tool to ask certain teachers why they're not using. Milo said no, but we're wrong. What we got? All right. That's crowd. Let me go into Director Hayes and do his report, and then you will go into I forget about me. It says it right there. How would I forget about me?
All right, good evening. So we are in the middle of taking our middle of year benchmark. So I will be presenting our data next month in February. So some exciting things are happening at MILA, one of which is happening, or it actually started today. And I do have one teacher at MILA that is being recognized by Phillips 66 through the Full Heroes program, and she will go to the Big 12 championship basketball game, and that camera crew is on campus today and tomorrow. So it's a pretty big deal. We're extremely proud of Miss Theory who's sitting out here. So Miss Theory will be showcased, but definitely super proud of Miss Theory and the work that she's doing with our third grade scholars and the school community. So kudos to her. Also, we continue to do Camp Trevera. You can see the Camp Trevera dates there every month. On January 20th, we will continue to work trying to support all of our math teachers at Langston University next Friday. So we will be asynchronous, and we will go over there and just be immersed in a phenomenal PD with all of the MILA math teachers. So we went over last month, and we will continue a working session next week. And then again, we are benchmark testing. We started today, and we hope to finish as soon as we possibly can, because our goal is to test 100% of our MILA scholars. So that's all I have for this month. Thank you.
And on the LU Math PD, it is a partnership with the Innovation District with the goal of increasing the amount of kids going into STEM careers. And we can't do that until we train teachers to be more confident in their ability to teach math. And so that's what they're doing. And I think, do they get a $250 or $200?
For supplies.
Yeah, $250 for supplies. So they'll be able to go and purchase math manipulatives or whatever math related support after they complete the PD. So but that's one thing we want to go through, is what the research tells us is after elementary teachers have math, when they start their bachelor's training, they never revisit their math training. And they revisit resources like how to use certain textbooks and things, but they don't continue to increase their math knowledge. So we hope this will be an ongoing partnership with LU to increase math knowledge in elementary teachers. So because they really are gatekeepers. They're the people who, put kids on this. So now we'll go on to Director Haynes.
Okay, so first of all, before we get into the report, skills report, just kind of want to bring you up to date with some things that have been going on since the last board meeting. As you may know or may not know, that our football team, was runner-up December 10th for state, and so I'm proud of the gentlemen as well as coaches. Just to give you some improvements, is that our record in 2021 was 4-6. Our record in 2022 was 13-2 with the runner-up. So I think that's a massive improvement. Coach Franklin was asked to be a guest speaker at the Oklahoma Football Coaches Clinic, which will be this coming Friday. So he and his staff will be going over professional development. And just proud of the work that you've done, Coach Franklin, and continue to make our young men to be leaders of our community. So thank you for that, sir. In light of that, we had a little all-city this year roster. Ricky Hunt was first team, Prince Gabriel was first team, Carla Strong first team, William Mays first team, Nico Levine second team, and C.J. Turnbull honorable mention. David Oklahoma, they had Ricky Hunt, second team, and then they had CJ Turnbull and Carlos Strong. Volleyball, we had, in our little all city, we had Mariah Hall, and then honorable mention was Layla Carter. Also, this past December, on the 20th, we had what we call a holiday classic with Heritage Hall, where we had a basketball game, and the two teams combined to provide a Christmas gifts to a family, and so we split it up between each other, and pretty much I think everybody got gifts for everyone, so it was an amazing opportunity to show something that life was more about just the game, but it was more about giving back to others. Our basketball team, high school, just returned from the Watersville tournament, where Jaden Nickens was was nominated as an all-team. Our boys went 2 and 3 over the weekend. Our girls were 1 and 3. But like I say, it was a good tournament, and unless someone says not, I think we're going to go back next year. She ain't said yet. This Friday night, we have Community Christian, at Community Christian. So superintendent, you stay home, and so we won't be on the news, and I think we'll be all right. So
If they show some hospitality, they won't have to worry about it.
So as you all know, our gym flooded over the break due to the pipe breaking, and so I say the good thing, but not a good thing, is that we didn't have to play the majority of our home games prior to going on break. So we only have 3 more home games that we would have to host. That is Northwest Class and John Marshall and Ada. And so we don't go back to John Marshall. We'd like to host a game if we can here. Ada would be our senior night, and then, like I said, Northwest Class is always a good game. So currently, right now, I have secured that we will use Southern Nazarene University for our Northwest Classroom game. Also, we're looking at possibly February 3rd using Southern Nazarene. And then I'm working with Midwest City High School to host the January 27th game at John Marshall. Our young ladies and boys teams will return to another tournament, high school, for the war tournament, which will be starting a week from this coming Thursday. Girls play at 1 p.m. and the boys will follow immediately after that at 2:30. Anything about what I discussed prior to us going into other things that we do have a new employee. He will start next Monday. He called me this morning about 8:30. His wife's water broke. We've been waiting for the child, and so she's in labor right now, and so pretty much he will be starting with us this coming Monday. Any questions? The floor is a total loss.
Or not a total loss, but they can't replace half the floor. So it's a total loss.
What I see.
Say it.
Okay, what I see.
Because Coach Albert can practice on half of it.
Well, it's gotten a lot worse since then now. It's seeping down in the other words. It's ripples all the way through, so it keeps moving down. So the floor is not, can't go full court.
You can't go full court, but we don't know what the insurance is going to cover, so we might cover half.
Well, there's no sanding going there. I don't know how that's going to happen.
What we're doing today,
I've asked Mario, is giving me a plan of remediation. This was not, the pipe broke, but it wasn't directly related to that because the pipe broke in the sink. The sink was clogged. So, it was, so it's last. But I've asked Mario for that.
Okay, so the report that you have in front of you, this is for the first semester. Gives our expenditures, our revenues, as well as our donations. So let me explain this to you. Okay, I have 7 accounts. Just dial it out to me. So and try to combine it all into three where you can kind of understand what's going on. So my 800-1 account, if you'll notice the total number of revenue and total number of donations in that second column. And they're basically saying our revenue of about $70,000. Some of the expenditures we have is close to almost $54,000 in expenditures in the first quarter, in the first semester. Some of the things that we have, like I say, purchased uniforms for baseball, which is from a donation. We also, the Squirtle that we have, we purchase that every year. Color as well for our different teams, as well as basketball uniforms is in that as well. Some of the revenues, you can see what we have in there. And then donations. There are 3 donations I want to point out to you. The Good Sports, Steph Curry, he gave us an in-kind donation of $17,000, which is basically, that was it. He gave us uniforms, he gave us basketball shoes that we were able to outfit our entire middle school program, as well as he gave us socks. And so pretty much when I put the order in, it was about around $17,000. So we didn't receive any physical dollars, we received in kind in terms of merchandise. And then also Metrotech, as well as A&W Construction, were basically a part of the golf tournament that they gave us close to $17,500 there, which is in another account. I put it on this page so that y'all see what it is still part of my expenditures as well as donations.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
With the in-kind from Good Sports, you said we bought uniforms.
Yeah, he bought practice uniforms, yes. On the next page there, 802 is not much, pretty much activity going on there. So 800-3, which pretty much is where a lot of the gate money, a lot from here, as well as paying a lot of the officials, also taking care of other contingencies. I paid the coaches for a car, their cards and stuff for them and their family. We also, officials, right now we're currently paying almost, right now we're at probably $14,000 in officials. And that price will increase next year because now they are going up for varsity football will now be $105 per official, so that's 105 times 5. Middle school games are 45, and they will increase up to 65. And then in basketball also, they're currently now 55 per rep. They will go up to $85 per rep. So those expenses will continue to increase. So we'll look at probably almost a $7,000 increase in that expenditure. Yes, sir.
I have several referee questions. For one, what is the process for us to choose our referees as a
So basically, we hire an assigner, and that assigner has a group of officials that works with him. And basically, we just give him our schedule, and he pretty much assigns officials. If there's someone we don't like, then they're not allowed to come back. And that's pretty much how the process works.
Who makes the call when official comes back? They're coming from coaches? They're coming from you only?
No, it comes from coaches. Usually that's when the coach will call, or if I'm at physically there and seeing something, then yeah, I'll definitely
I put a few of them.
I'm thoroughly concerned about officiating, and that's pretty much every sport, not just basketball and football.
Well, we have different assignments for different sports, so it's not one assignment that's all. So we have a young lady that does our volleyball. She does an amazing job with what she has. And then we have one that does our softball. He does it for free. All he asks is that we add an additional $5 on each one of the officials that we hire. And then we have Justin Winchell, who's our basketball And then for soccer, we finally had to literally fight to find one because the only assigner in the western part of Oklahoma, this area central, was basically price gouging us. And so we finally found one, and so he's working on putting together a crew that we can kind of be able to use because they charge us like almost $75 per official for a soccer. So it's pretty pricey. From going from like $45 to $75 is a huge increase. And they did give us an opportunity to get our budgets together and try to prepare for it. We just basically sent a letter out like a month before we were getting ready to transition into that season.
Is there a process? I guess I'm still stuck on the statement. Is there a process to where
For state games, we don't assign officials. State games are assigned by the OSSA.
And playoffs, right?
Yeah, we all playoffs. When we get to playoffs, they take care of everything. We just get to choose and assign our officials for our regular season games.
Normally, depending on location, because Franklin grades every division, and how they choose it.
I'm with the whole process? I need to know how to take the process out from your perspective as a director. Because we're not happy. I'm not happy.
I don't think, to be honest, I don't think anybody's happy, really. I mean, we're kind of somewhat in some things, scraping the bottom of the barrel on some instances. And some others where people are retiring who understand and play this game for a long time. So trying to fill those voids have been a challenge because, and then trying to make sure that
There a board for referees?
a board,
There is an employee at OSSAA.
Yes.
Running training.
yeah, because now, the one thing that the OSSA does have, which we go by, is that we do not hire any official that has not had an official number from the OSSA. So each official that goes through and goes through the courses and pass everything, they are assigned a number. And so if they don't have a number, we won't allow any to ref any of our games.
Can you explain huddle to me?
Huddle. Huddle is software that's used to record all of our games right now, the statistics and stats, trades, film, between teams, so we don't have to drive somewhere and hit nobody a table or anything like that. So a coach can be able to see 7, 8, 9, 10 games in a season from all the different teams that they play over the season.
So in other words, for every sport that we have on the camera?
Well, right now, huddles only apply to basketball and to football.
Is there a yearly fee?
Yes.
How does that work? Is the yearly fee, does each sport pay for huddle themselves, or?
Using the basic package, yes. The basic package, the coaches pay for it and all the additional added things. Like Coach Franklin has a basic package that he takes care of every year. And then on top of it, like the extra end zone cameras or various things like that, if they need more storage space, then I kick in and I take care of that to where they can have those extra things. So it's about $3,500 for football.
We have our huddle package, sideline, and end zone, and tools so players can log in and see plays and get an understanding. It comes out to right at about $5,500.
Well, just the boards is $1,500, and so they have different packages. So to where it depends on how much you want. So it's almost like if you want a car with basic, it's going to be one price. But if you want a car with all the bells,
Which is why we let the coaches choose, right?
yeah.
We don't
So
tell
yeah,
them
so the coaches choose what they want to do. And then if there's something that in the season or things that they may need, contingencies, then I'll come in and assist with that. And so that way, but usually they start with a basic package. Like for basketball, there's a basic package where they'll break it down to where they'll give you literally how many times a team wants to play, who scored what their percentages are, what times they in the corner, how many times they on the free throw line. I mean, it breaks the whole all down. And I get a report of that as well because I'm a account administrator. But then you can also have it for kids to watch it as well as put together highlight films so that they can share those with other college coaches across the country as well. So just the pie on the back will just kind of give you an idea of what programs are. I hope that was pretty simple.
Well, those are questions that you can talk to Director Hayes about outside of board meeting. Like to have more questions, he's available anytime you like, 201-9990. That's all right. I paid for his phone. That's our phone. 201. All right. Superintendent's update. I am going to have Ms. Thompson present our past data. It's this packet right here. And at the beginning or last quarter, when we presented the scorecard, and we said we were missing some of the social emotional data that basically talks to us about how kids feel about school and what we need to be focusing on and their preparedness for learning. We finally got it all together and put out the data. So Ms. Thompson's going to share kind of, it is somewhat of a baseline. We give it to you, remember, but it's where we are. So. Wait, baseline and then first.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll do it again at the end of the school year. So we'll still have some comparative data. So if you look at your data that you have two different charts. The top is a bar chart, and that bar chart is going to be the maximum possible score that our students could have gotten on this assessment. The first one that you're looking at is going to be our pre-K through second grade. They are given a completely different assessment because of their age capabilities, and so theirs is a lot more user-friendly, like who faces, compared to middle and high school, where it's actually asking them to grade based on scale. And so you will also notice, which I am extremely proud of, most of that baseline data is going to be at the 70% and above range, and I'll explain why that's a good thing in just a moment. At the bottom, you're going to see a percentile score. That percentile score is how our students range compared to the benchmark data of students across the nation. So it's 4 different areas that they are assessed on: feelings about school, preparedness for learning, learner self-worth, and response to learning. And so that's all in 4 different areas, and those are color-coded from green to yellow to orange to red. So for our pre-K babies, feelings about school and preparedness for learning, that fell in the moderate satisfaction range, and then the learning self-worth and response to learning was in the high satisfaction. One of the things that I love about these reports is that it goes in depth. I will not for you all to kind of go in depth for how that looks. I'll just kind of give an overview. But you can look at it based on gender and based on grade level. And so one of the trends that I noticed from pre-K all the way up to 12th grade is that our female students typically rate themselves lower in preparedness for learning. And so you'll see that in our data as well, which I find to be really interesting. If we flip over to the next one is going to be for our 3rd grade through 5th grade. Again, it's a different assessment based on their capabilities. They had, it goes up from 4 indicators up to 9 indicators. That's feelings about school, which they tested in the 22.4 percentile range. Perceived learning capability, 43.6. Self-regard as a learner, 42.5. Preparedness for learning, 24.3. Attitudes to teachers, 29.8. I think that's important to go down. Attitudes towards teachers fell in the moderate satisfaction range, general work ethic in the high satisfaction, confidence in learning, attitudes to attendance, and response to curriculum plans all fell in the high satisfaction range. So then we're going to skip the next page. That's basically Now, when you get to middle school, something's going on in middle school. I think something is in Pete's water because they absolutely left there. He has dreams across the board. So he scored high satisfaction with school experience across the board, and that is in all 9 indicators. And again, this is benchmarked against other students in the United States. And so this is 31st through 100th percentile range. So feelings about school, perceived learning capabilities, self-regard as a learner, preparedness for learning. He had one of the highest scores for attitudes towards teachers, which I thought was something to highlight as well.
That doesn't mean like that.
Positive attitudes. Positive. General work ethic and so on. I did want to highlight, I know I said I was going to go through it, but on the next page, very next page, where we start to disaggregate based on gender, this is the job that you see. So you have the grooves across the board, which is high satisfaction, but then our female students in middle school, response to curriculum demands. So they dropped to moderate satisfaction in terms of moderate curriculum demands. So as an educator or as an administrator, essentially you would see this and you can go into tasks and it actually has interventions and strategies that you can use as a teacher or as an administrator to tackle, why are you feeling this way? You have conferences with the students. There's a whole host of things that they have in their toolkit that they can use after having this component data. All right, we're going to go to the next level 1 page, which is high school. All right, high school as well. And I think a lot of this obviously be really for our younger babies. Don't try to understand. Because when I saw high school, a lot of that mimicked what we saw in middle school. His highest indicator was attitudes to teachers. So positivity there. And then also 64% feelings about school, and then 69% preparedness for learning. So these are how our students are rating themselves.
And you might explain why we're not jumping up and down about all grades in high school.
So I wouldn't necessarily, we're not jumping up, we're happy to see it, but also with high school, a lot of it has to do with input factors. There are also lots of reading, so that's something. And then only has a certificate. I didn't want to say that. Trudy says I have a certificate. Okay, only half the students in her certificate, right? So we are waiting for the rest of it. But that is still on trend.
I'm not hearing your conversation. I hear it, but it's not audible. It's audible, but I don't hear it. So.
We can't hear.
Yeah.
The words you're saying.
Speak loud.
Would you like to understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Do you understand?
Big part?
Are you serious? You don't hear?
No, really,
No,
she
ma'am.
was
I was
asking me, and I was like, I don't know what she's
I
saying.
hear the talking, but it's
Oh,
not.
you're hearing Ms. Thompson, not me.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Oh, okay, sorry.
She sounds like Charlie Brown. Is that what
Oh,
is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. It's literally at my mouth. I don't know how much. My drawing.
Yeah.
So in high school, yes, we only have 162 students
students to take this assessment out of 306. But I did meet with Principal Evans, and they are going to have some reports in terms of how we're going to get the rest of the students tested. But I do think that this is, it's a trend, so it does show us that the other students who took it, they do have pretty positive outlooks in the way that they see school and the general context, the social context of Millwood High School. So I think that says a lot, especially in the wake of, after our data meeting. Another one that I wanted to point out for high school on the level 2, if you can scroll down for one page, please.
Here it is.
Right there. Thank you. So this is a grade breakdown. I did want to point out that around 11th grade, those are our students who had the height and growth for our data scores. But when you look at grade 11, self-regard as a learner, they scored the lowest there in terms of how they rate themselves, and also response to curriculum demands. So these are just some of the conversations that we can have around how our students are feeling about themselves compared to how they're actually performing in school. But this assessment by no means is be all. It's just something additional that we use in the district that we can help to gauge where our students are emotionally, especially after coming back from COVID, and making sure that we are meeting their needs as well.
One of the major indicators for improving instructional outcomes is students' social and emotional health at school. So it's good to know we've got that threshold, because if you don't want to be here, you're definitely not learning. So I think our kids they seem pretty content. It is kind of concerning. I don't know if girls are harder on themselves or if that's really where we are. So it'll be interesting to see this over time. Because girls are rating themselves.
Absolutely. Any questions about the past data?
As far as your response to curriculum demands, is that like the workload or something or like what is that?
Yeah, essentially that's what that is.
They all say we agree. It's too
What do you know, what grade the test the most?
Yeah.
Not yet. It's about the same. Everybody's taking the same.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because even when 11th grade was tested, it's still a national test day for everybody in the school, so they don't know any different. Yeah, their scores are just the ones that are. Yeah.
And I also just want to point out that, again, like this is something that we will have to look at a lot deeper, because we also see that these are the two areas that female students score themselves lower in. So if there's a disproportionate amount of female students in lower grade, which I don't know, that may also lead to why those areas are lower.
Can you give a robotic subject?
Okay. So this has been an amazing season for Millwood Robotics. I told you earlier in the season that this is one of the largest groups that we've had in robotics. We went from consistently having like 7 to 8 students to having, I have 26 on my roster and I have 22 that show up consistently to practice. For First Tech Challenge, which is one of the larger robotics competitions in the state, our team this season was ranked number 3 in the state for several weeks. In addition to that, at the last competition at the Oklahoma School of Science and Math, they placed 3rd out of 13 teams there and beat the host team, which is something that we always are.
Oh, we're excited about.
Yes. So that leaves us being a 12th seed going into our Western League tournament, which is amazing. And it's the highest rank that we have been since I have been at Millwood these past 6 years. And so it's something that the students can be extremely proud of. And on top of that, I say this all the time, they are the only 100% African American team in the states. And they are really putting on, and they will be extremely things are on the up and up. I forgot those sweatshirts, but I'm gonna have them. They are at home, ready to go, but I have them. They're already there.
Right, that's always.
Evans or my two cheer ladies that are here, if you guys would like to give a cheer update. Ready? Okay. No, I don't want Mr. Evans to do it. I want one of you ladies, or both of you ladies. So as you know, Ms. Bruner, go ahead and help her. Go ahead, walk with her. Be her assist. There we go. We had a little beef, a little something going on. In fairness, it wasn't our beef, right? We were just there. We beef stew when it happened. And so we had to endure some social media blasts about limiting participation from our neighbors to the south. And so Mr. Evans got together with the principal at Douglas and orchestrated a neutral meeting zone. So we met at Life Church, and the girls got together. Mr. Evans put together an agenda, and they worked through it. And so the ladies will update you on kind of what happened that day.
I'm Kirby. I'm the co-captain of the cheer team. And so at that meeting, we really got down to the issues of what the problem really was. And instead of having like everybody into it, instead of like the students coming into the problem and everything, it was just us. It was a really personal talk. And we got down to the problem, which was mainly social media, and that everybody was in our circle. And like there were students in our circle, having parents in our circle, instead of just having fun as a cheer team. So we really got down to the problem. So it was just social media problem. We figured it out. We're gonna have more time together, spend more time together.
I might add that we did reach out to West Broker to send an apology for how we actually invited you in, because that's not our value as a spirit team, so we did reach out to you.
Go team! They were really cheerleaders. And for those that don't know, what happened at the end of the Welker event, which is essentially a cheer clinic to prep you for state, I think everybody was doing kind of their own little kind of back and forth, and it got a little aggressive at the end, where some teams approached other teams, and they were trying to get us off the floor, and we just kind of kept going. We kept at it, which made the hosts feel very uncomfortable. And West Welker supports us a lot. Like, we depend on them for lots of things, not just cheer clinics. And so we don't want a situation which, when they called Coach Hayes, basically they were like, well, if Douglas and Millwood can't get along, then we'll have to alternate years. And I'm like, we are never going to be in a conversation where our kids are being limited. People want our kids. What are you talking about? When they call me and say, hey, you have great kids, send them. For us to be in a conversation where somebody's thinking about limiting access to our kids is very concerning, which is, we were going to have the conversation anyway, but that's why we ended up writing a letter and apologizing to Welker and assuring them that we know how to work together and we will be working together in the future to make sure that that relationship remains between the girls. One of the things that Mr. Evans shared with me that was very interesting is none of the girls even really knew each other. They were just like carrying the baton from years, you know, like you're Trojan, so I don't like you. You're Falcon, so I don't like you. So it was really kind of silly. But something silly that just got fueled, like I said, from the outside, and they just carried it. So glad to know that that's over, and like I said, we will be planning more intentional contacts with Douglas cheerleaders because, you know, I share all the time, you know, our success is Douglas's success, and Douglas's success is our success. You know, none of us can make it by stepping on another. We all have to progress together. So I think it was a good meeting. Thanks to Mr. Edmonds for hosting it and the lecture for letting us have it there. So, questions for Chair? Nothing happened in the parking lot afterward. It was good. Whew, all right. The band. Woo! Let me tell you about my babies. They made us look so good on Saturday. So Langston also lost their floor.
over the Christmas break to a flood, and so they have been playing their home games at UCO, and their band plays at their home games, and they are competing in the Honda Classic. And so this past weekend, they had a choreographer in from out of state to work with the band. So they weren't available for the Saturday game, so they called and said, hey, can you send your band? And I'm like, maybe. And they made it happen. Mr. Wilson was still out of state, and Mr. Ray took him by himself. And so they got the kids together, and I personally, as a person who attended both games, think that our kids did better than the Lynx did. I'm biased. But I think if we took a poll, because most people didn't know they were a high school team. Like, people in the stands were like, they're in high school? And so, of course, Mr. Woods is like, they're in high school and middle school, too. So, no, they did a great job representing us. And I think you guys have to go eat afterwards and stuff. They took good care of them. But they did a great job. And I'll be honest with you. They got there probably about 1 o'clock, 1:30. And the game ended at like 6 o'clock or so. And they stood up in those stands and represented, quietly and everything, and played. And so they did a really, really, really good job. So I was very proud of them. They made us look very, very good. In fact, let me tell you this, Coach Hayes, the very first high school athletic director is an official for MIAA. L.W. Good hired him. And he came and met me after the game. And he was so excited that was the band. He said, I kept hearing Millwood, and I'm like, I can't be hearing that because that can't be Millwood. And then somebody said, yeah, the superintendent's down there. And he came and introduced himself. So he said, he's going to come by and see the campus and stuff. And he was the very first girls basketball coach here in Millwood, too. So it was cool to meet him and get that piece of history. So very proud of them. Oddly enough, we got 3 invitations for the band last week. So the first one was to go and play at Langston. The second one is Tinker Federal Credit Union has asked our band to escort them in leading the parade, the Martin Luther King parade.
Oh, that's awesome.
You guys think you were marching in the parade because you've been out on the fleet. Yeah, so Tinker Federal Credit Union is the headline sponsor. And so they were like, we just wanted to do something different this year. We heard people all were marching, we march with us. And I'm like, I try to act like I'm in charge, but I gotta make some coffee. So yeah, so excited for that. So they got an honorarium for playing Saturday. They'll get an honorarium for marching in the parade. And then I got a call or an email from Norman, and they are trying to start their first ever Mardi Gras parade. And they want us to come out there and march in their Mardi Gras parade. So the band is making, I don't know if the price is right on it, I'm working through that. What's that? No, throwing beads everywhere, just throwing beads. So I don't know, I haven't spoken to the people in the Mardi Gras parade, but just super excited at the band out there representing, and since we have been together last, they went to Memphis, and competed and won first place in their class. And our girls, our dancers, won second, right, in our class, so way to go. And just 2 girls dancers. Imagine if we had 12 people there. So yay. We need new sousaphones. Oh my God. I looked at them Saturday, they look really good, so. They only cost like $5,000. But I love it. All right, last thing is we met with the architects last week on the bond update, and then Ms. Green and Mario and the architects walked the building again today to look at the South Campus building, to look at the upgrades and the things that we need to do in the spaces and all of those good things. And so they are, working through all of that to see what that's going to look like so we can get that budget finalized here pretty soon. But we are moving, and the bond is set for February 14th, and just waiting for our constituents to grant us the money to get moving on that. And I think that's all I have on the budget. Oh, You forgot about Saturday. Saturday, yeah, Saturday.
January 14th. It's
Oh.
the superintendent's birthday.
Don't call me on Saturday. Please. Actually, we've been together since I graduated. I don't know, Dr. Woods, hello. I also just want to touch briefly on the incident that we had at the Douglas basketball game. And Coach Hayes and I haven't had a chance to really totally debrief on it because I was having a life and all of that in between. But it's important to say, for those that weren't there or might have heard, none of the students involved in that incident went to Millwood. None of them. None of them. Or Douglas. Or Douglas. They were not even our students or Douglas students. They were kids from Middale and Putnam City that came to our event to wreak havoc. Yeah, middle schoolers. Yeah, they were big boys. Middle schoolers. Yeah, yeah. So, Coach Hayes and I will be talking about that event. I mean, he knows I already have anxiety, not because of anything other than public safety is our highest regard. And I never want to have an event, and for the sake of having an event, and put families with kids in danger. And so there's a reason we play the softball football game on Saturdays. We might be playing softball basketball on Saturdays. But I don't want a situation where we can't protect people. We had a whole plan in place. With Officer Wright and his people were lined up, ready to go to the floor because, defense says if you limit their space, they will fight. They won't have to stand the clock. So it defied logic. It absolutely defied logic. I also have had an extensive conversation with William Cuban, who's the head of security over in Oklahoma City. The unfortunate part is when those officers take after duty assignments, they aren't resource officers, they're just private officers. And so they probably won't want to come back here because my suggestion is going to be that we give them an assignment. Okay, you stand here, because I feel like there's 12 of them and they're not visible. They're not doing anything. And so they come over here, they don't have to start working because it just makes no sense. So Ms. Thompson and I were right there on the spot. Probably should have been, but we weren't. I know. We didn't know. We just ran to the fight. Milo was there, though. So, thankfully, Milo was there. So anyway, just want to make sure that everybody knows those were not any kids affiliated with any of the schools that night. Just kids who, I still have to figure this out. A part of me wants to say, if you don't have a parent, you're not one of our students, you can't come in.
Yes.
I'm almost there. I'm almost there. So if you're under 18, you gotta have an adult. People are dropping their kids off because they had to have a ride home. Doesn't make any sense. Middle school boys. So anyway, that was my rant. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That concludes. We didn't just lose a water main, a gym floor, we also are gaining slowly. The underpinnings, if you will, of our new marquee. We're like 8 weeks closer. So we got the line in for electricity and for internet over the break. And so now we're just waiting for the sign to be finished and out of production. And in the next month or two, we'll have a new brand new marquee out front. And we're going to put up there and go Dr. Who. That's the first that is the first thing that's going up there. But I think it's fair. Actually, the first thing we're going to do is thank you, Nick, because poor Nick had to take my phone call every day with friends to say, all right. In regards to enrollment, we have to date about 41 transfers that we have turned down that we just don't have space for. Those are transfer requests. Interestingly enough, open enrollment, meaning people that are declaring, not that they want to transfer today, but they want to enroll next year. Last year, on the very first day that we opened the application, 3 people applied. This year, on the very first day, 25. people applied on the very first day. So if that is news of anything to come, then we're going to be turning down a lot more people because we're still at capacity. We still don't have any capacity. Even opening the southern building is only going to open a little bit capacity in middle school. So that is where we are. I'm updating everybody. Seems like a long time. Okay, that really is all. Treasurer report. We finally have a little bit of money thrown. We did receive a mid-year adjustment. Remember, so the minus or the negative $3,000 will take over the negative $300,000. So we're good. That's just cash, but it's flowing. We did get a mid-year adjustment of about $170,000. That's the difference between enrollment and assessment of the per pupil allocation. The state did over-collect $2.2 billion, so I expect to see another adjustment if the governor doesn't try to put the whole $2.2 billion in his rainy day fund, which, you know, is very possible. Yeah, it's very possible. But definitely over-collected. And so our cash situation should level out here in, at the end of January. Oh, one more thing. If you recall, on our negotiated agreement, Coach Franklin and the collective bargaining team elected to defer a device stipend of $500 per staff member and a 2.5% increase for certified staff, which was an adjustment to their salary scale. I was able to bribe him to pay them more to stay later because we had a cash flow issue in the beginning. And lots of people were really happy to get a check last Friday. So I was like, that might be a good strategy. It's like the further ways to January, you know, we'll do it to you in January. So it worked out well. Right, teachers?
Yes.
So that was a good move. And that's everything. Oh, I'm sorry. So on the treasurer's report, there is a mistake that we had to correct. We took money out of an insurance fund that wasn't really paid out of insurance. So we have to correct it. And you think, well, how does that happen? Well, if I pay for something, like say we have a flood, and we get somebody in to clean it up, and it doesn't rise to the level of claim, meaning it doesn't give me my deductible, I put the PO in there, so I have to pay it out of there. But the only way I can pay it out of there is if I get insurance money. And so we just have to fix that for accounting. And then this 2-pager, this long right here, this is your mid-year activity summary. So it'll tell you the money that is in every account, what we've spent, what we have out there. If you look at the superintendent's fund, if you look at it and say, how does that happen? That's just timing. When I received a check and when we deposited and paid out. Because it looks like it says I had total expenses of $68,000. Then I said I had a total revenue of $65,000. It doesn't matter, but it does if you think about time. So I think everything else in there is pretty self-explanatory, but that's that one. And then one other one. Oh, actually, we have to vote on all of those, so I don't know why I'm going through the consent agenda. So let me stop. Let me go back to A. And, Mr. President, I am going to ask for an approval for the transfer of funds from general to the insurance recovery fund.
We'll have a motion to approve the transfer from the insurance fund back to the general fund, $16,887. So moved by Ms. Hyde, without a second. Second by Mr. Wilson.
Roll call.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Ms. Hahn,
Yes.
and Mr. Hunt.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And the mid-year summary, mid-year activity plan summary. I don't need an approval on that, correct? I just need to share. Are there any questions about that? Not to you, All right. Number 10, the Multicultural Club has been clamoring to get to Europe for a while. And Miss Janet was here. Oh, hey, Miss Janet. I know they've been wanting to go for a couple of years, and I think she's finally got a core group of kids that are committed to fundraising in order to make this happen. But in order to make this happen, the board will have to approve the fundraising. First, that they're okay with the go. And there is a company that sponsors this, so it's not Miss Jamie taking kids around with a passport and all of that. It's a company because all they do is take kids on these type of trips. And we're looking to seek approval so that we can start to raise funds towards the trip. Is that fair?
I have a question. Is there an administrator that is required to go on this trip, or just all teachers or general?
Several years ago, when I worked with an organization and I took a group of 15 students to Washington, D.C., I was in teaching in that, and we didn't have an administrator. But of course, this is Europe, so if there's the case and an administrator would have to go, then I would probably be that administrator. I mean, the board would have to decide whether or not we require an administrator to go.
Right, that would be the board's discretion.
Yes.
That's a journey. Is the trip in May? Right after graduation?
Right.
Oh, so it's next May though?
Yes.
In 2024. They just started to find it. Okay. I can think about going. Shut up, shut up.
Can I have the first one?
Take it. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So you would recommend approval based upon an administrator? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
That's it.
Well, you're the board.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, I have a possible motion to approve our high school multicultural club to go to Europe in May 2024 and also start fundraising for this trip and also take an administrator on this trip with them. So moved by Mr. Wilson, what else? Second by Ms. High.
So do we want to set up an activity account just for this trip?
We will have to.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
You'll have to approve that at the next meeting. Mr. Provo.
Yes.
Ms. Hahn,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson, and Mr. Hunt.
Yes, ma'am. All right. The Millwood Board of Education uses a consider agenda during school board meetings, item of a routine nature normally approved at board meetings will be approved by one vote unless any board member desires to have a separate vote on any or all items. The consent agenda consists of a consideration, review, and discussion of possible motions to approve the following items as listed under the appropriate category, identified individually by number and or alphabet. Items 11A, 11B, 11C, 12A through 12A. Is there any questions from the board on the consent agenda? No questions? All right, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved by Mr. Wilson, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Bowles.
Ms. Hyde? Yes. Mr. Provo?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Hunt?
Yes, ma'am. All right, Ms. Webster, is there any statement of public concerns tonight?
No.
All right, do I have a possible motion to go to executive session to discuss, the superintendent's mid-year evaluation? Do I have a motion? So moved by Mr. Wilson, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hyde.
Provo? Ms. Hyde? Yes. Mr. Wilson?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr.
Yes.
Hunt?
Yes. No.
Everybody's faces look